Holla ballers and a brofist to you all! It is Friday afternoon here in the UK once more, and I'm back from being house moved and all sorts of stuff. I'm living in a new location, have a new house. Fantastic stuff. And Warhammer Summer is underway with currently 2 games defeated. Space Marine 1 going back to 2011. And Dawn of War 1, going back to 2004. But now we've modernized a bit. We're at Warhammer Mechanicus. And of course, we have just literally, as of recording this, watched the latest and last live letter before Dawn Trail arrives. They had a function, if you didn't see it and you're not a Final Fantasy XIV follower, that automatically removes players who are stood near quest NPCs. Mwah! Magnifique, baby. Magnifique. One of the best things I have seen in a video game, in an MMO ever. People crowding those places, just moved away, just invisible when you're going to your quest NPC. But I do want to remind people, with Dawn Trail on the horizon next couple of weeks, is we are throwing our final day. Goodbye Endwalker party on the 25th at 7 p.m. British Standard Time. So if you're looking to group up with a bunch of nerds and say goodbye to the expansion in a fun way, we'll be hosting that party. Live DJs. It's a beach party, so that's your theme. And having some fun down by the ocean. It should be a hell of a good time. And as far as I know, I'm not traveling anywhere in the near future, so drama time should not be disrupted in anywhere until PreachCon, probably. Which is rapidly approaching. PreachCon rapidly approaching. We have got some tickets left as we freed some up, and some people couldn't make it because they wanted to do some War Within stuff. But thankfully, the dates don't particularly overlap. Their guilds have requested their presence for preparations. Whatever the hell that means, it doesn't matter. But some tickets are still available for PreachCon. Every time we get to sell out, there's some more come available. So it should be a fun old time. But that's not why you're here right now. Drama time is upon us. And it has just dawned on me that we've been doing this show for 12 years. I have been sat here on a Friday afternoon with tales written by you. And that's because everybody hearing this right now has a story to tell, whether you believe it or not. It is there because you have dealt with anonymous people online. And anonymous people online do crazy, wonderful, strange, bizarre, terrifying things. And of course, we like to hear about it here at Drama, not only to share in the fun and the mystery and the terror you may have been a part of, but also as red flags that may keep people aware. And the buzzer just went. Chris is getting up, and this might actually be the router for the internet for my house, my new house. We might actually have internet at home. Chris says no, though. I can hear him saying no. It might be my internet, Chris. No, it's not my internet. Disappointing. 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 It definitely wasn't my router. They're still buzzing us. Chris just said buzz downstairs. If Chris denies my internet box, I'm going to be very sad. I'm going to be very sad.
I asked her who had the Range Rover, so I'm wondering if someone knocked the car down there.
Oh, that's not us then. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so it was not the router. It's someone who may have had a car crash. So thankfully, that's not us. Okay. I have 3 stories in front of me, my friends, but I think we need to start with the first one here, which is I took Preach's advice, which means this can only be a positive story, and definitely can't be anything bad. So this is probably a great start to the day. We do like to not only dispense advice during drama time, but more importantly, we raise our gavels high, and sometimes we need to declare judgment on those who may have done wrong, or are wondering if they did wrong. So I took Preach's advice. I don't know what advice I gave. I'm sure it was stellar and sage advice from years of experience, decades of experience. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Here we go. Preacher! And the Chaos Goblins known as the Chat. I think that's a positive, my friends. I think that's a positive. I recently listened to a drama time about a player. Oh, so I didn't give you advice. I shared advice and you took it. Okay. I recently listened to a drama time about a player who, among other things, got scared off doing group content in MMOs for quite some time because they had an embarrassing experience. Yes. This is apparently quite a large problem in MMOs is people being terrified of group play in case they make a mistake. It's something I've tried to put people at ease at for about a decade, because it doesn't matter if you screw up and people get mad at you. It doesn't matter. You can just try again next time. It's fine. No actual repercussions happen, but it does turn people off a lot of group play. At the end of the drama time, Preach made a speech. I don't know if I made a speech, which amounted to, "Don't get scared off. We all make mistakes." Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. That sounds fine. There was probably more Manchester slang in there, but as I'm Team America, it's all Peaky Blinders and Irish potato talk to me. Mike, I made you a motivational poster to remind you of the kind of things you said. Okay. And for our audio listeners, it says, it's a big smiley grin of me that says, "Don't be a casual. Everyone fucks up in it, bruv." Which is how I talk, as you guys well know. I'm always saying "in it, bruv." Yeah. Not quite a new display, I don't think. No, that's not a display. Don't be... I can't see many people having this in their gaming room. In it, bruv. In it, bruv. Mike, that story hit home. You see, I had a bad experience in a dungeon and quit World of Warcraft for many years. When I returned recently to give Dragonflight a go of the positive reception it's had, I felt too scared to even join a leveling dungeon. Now, after listening to that Drama Time pep talk, I thought, well, if it all goes bad, at least I'll finally have a story to share with you. Oh, for fuck's sake. And so here we are. Oh my god. No, dude. I was set up. I was set up from the very start. Mike, here's my first ever Drama Time submission, and it's all because of you. All right. Let's go to the beginning, shall we? I'm a bit of a gamer. I grew up on the Warcraft RTS games. We had 2 computers in my home because I was a rich bitch. So my early Warcraft experiences were playing games against my older brother. My brothers were 7 and 9 years older than me. So all the games ended up with me getting absolutely foot-bucked and destroyed. Okay. Wrecked. It turns out when you're 7 to 9 years younger than your opponents, as a kid, age actually does matter. To this very day, I know absolutely nothing about the story from the RTS games. I mostly remember the peons saying, "Yes, my lord," and death sounds as my brothers decimated my random collection of buildings that I wasn't sure what they did. I never understood how they had such mega troops in that video game. The answer was simple. I was awful. I was a little kid, and they were just beating the shit out of me. Their brains were doing 5D chess and physics by that time, and I was still working out the colours. Fair enough. Of course, the clock continues to tick, my friends, as we well know, and eventually they had to leave. They had to go to college, and then they took jobs in different corners of the world. Hey, well played to your family. Good job. Now, I had a weird situation that I don't think many people will relate with. Let's ask. We've got a wonderful live audience here. None of my school friends liked computer games. That is weird. That's really weird. None of your school friends liked computer games. You see, I'm from the United States of America. And I grew up in the kind of place that Americans will have heard about and some will have visited. I grew up in a town that gave kids a week off from school when hunting season started. Oh. That kind of town, okay. You literally got a week off school for hunting season? That's amazing. That's amazing. You did as well? Okay, we got some people here who apparently... What kind of towns are we talking about? GMSec was in a town like that. Wyoming? I mean, is this mid or south? It's kind of, I mean, it sounds mid. Missouri? Missouri? Yeah. Home of Jesse, where he described Missouri as the home of cows, corn, and Christ. God bless Jezebel. Parts of Ohio do the same thing. All right, Alabama. All right, we get the picture. Mike, I once went on a school field trip, which the theme of was surviving for 36 hours in the woods with no supplies. Like the Hunger Games? All right, look, I'm calling for a request. If you grew up in a kind of off, bizarre, rural area of America, I want to dedicate a single episode of Drama Time to the stories of your childhood. I am very interested because this sounds insane. This sounds like fucking 300 or something. If you are listening to this and you grew up in some sort of rural situation in the US where things like this were going on, I would love to hear from you of just like a summary of what kind of shit you got up to. Because I visited Texas recently. It was bizarre. I saw 4-year-olds strapped to sheep or pigs or whatever the hell it was, just being dragged through the mud, and the parents paid for this experience to happen to their children. So, you know, I saw some shit while I was in Texas, man. I saw some shit. I saw some shit. I've done it as a kid. It's fun. There you go. Computer games were seen as the ultimate nerd stuff. All right. So I squirreled myself away at home, telling no one of my deep-seated hidden... Your hidden shame, is that what it was? I would sit at home playing solo RPGs. I want to give a special shout out here to Quest for Glory for the next few years. Maybe worth noting, I also grew up in a poor area. Only now am I questioning how my family had 2 computers. But my dad was very good at getting favors and making deals, and you know what? Probably better not to ask questions. Was your dad dealing drugs, or was your dad blowing dudes for money? Hey, Chris.
Yo.
If you had to, would you sell drugs or blow dudes if you needed money? Welcome to Drama Time.
I mean, obviously, drugs is obviously the answer, but...
Drugs is the obvious answer. I mean, drugs.
Okay, well, let's expand the question, right?
I
Is it just the selling drugs or the consequences that come with it, right?
Apparently you got away with it.
Or something, right? In which case, that kind of changes the answer.
I mean, technically, if you're blowing dudes, you still get shot as well. It's just in a different way. I don't know why my brain works this way. I have no idea. I have no idea. At some point, let's move on. At some point, both of my older brothers, now in their 20s and living very far away, found, of course, World of Warcraft. They started telling my parents... Oh, yeah, let's move to the WoW section, because they're more used to this kind of stuff. At some point, my older brothers discovered World of Warcraft. They started telling my parents how much I needed to play, how much I needed to learn how to use a modern computer, and how they should upgrade their life to involve the internet. Well, my brothers put their money together. Can we get a fucking salute in the chat here? For my parents to acquire internet and buy me a new computer. They also paid for a WoW subscription for me so I could play with them because they missed me for no longer living at home. Shout outs. Shout outs to their brother who brought them internet connectivity. And as we saw recently with the deep tribes of the Amazon, when you introduce the internet to some people who've been cut off from it, they only find the greatest content. Mm-hmm. So nothing but upwards trending is going on. They sold WoW as the best way for the brothers to still bond over this long distance and share in each other's time. And my parents thought it was so cute that my brothers still wanted us to spend time together. They're going to make you the healer, aren't they? Now, Mike, as you've probably guessed, which I have, this was my parents' first experience with the internet superhighway. My mother had only heard from her church... Oh, no. that the internet was basically a pedophile house. But in this instance, her typical overprotective nature did not kick in. She had no problem with her teen daughter playing a game with strangers on the internet. I knew never to share any of the creepier stories with her because I would lose internet access. Smart. Smart. At least you understood what was going on to get away from it and not mention it to the parents. Smart. Big smart. And so, thanks to my bros, I started playing World of Warcraft. When I first opened the game, the music felt like the most epic soundtrack of my life. My brain transformed that soundtrack into something like Lord of the Rings epic battles. I knew as soon as I saw that game I was going to be a hero. Immediately, I hit my first stumbling block. What class should I play? I had played enough Quest for Glory to know that your class choice could completely change your experience. I wanted to be optimal. I wanted to be the best. My brothers knew that I liked animals and suggested I play a druid. I was that kid who sat in my room studying in animal encyclopedias for fun, and you didn't want to go to hunting season. I am shocked. I am shocked. You really didn't want to go to hunting season? I would read animal encyclopedias for fun and would recite unprompted facts about things like buzzard eating habits or squirrel gestation cycles. Jesus Christ, you're a real nerd, aren't you? Push his glasses up. The idea that I could transform into different animals immediately caught my imagination. The leafy environment of the night elf, of course, night elf. The night elf starting zone put me at ease. In the real world, development companies had started wiping out our local woods of my childhood. F for the wildlife. So exploring this fantasy woodland world became my new obsession. My brothers played Rogue and Warlock. They suggested that I would probably enjoy healing the most, because that way we could get into groups quickly. What a surprise. What a surprise. I am shocked. I am absolutely shocked. Not tank, because you could have been a big fuzzy bear. We haven't got a time period here, I don't think. I don't know what time period we're in, but yeah, I am shocked and stunned that they wanted their little sister to play healer. Guess what both my brothers' daughters played for a long time? Weird having two priests in the family. What a surprise, eh? What a surprise. It made logical sense. We could get super groups with my brothers, so I tried Restospec. I learned I could turn into a tree, so we're post-Burning Crusade, and I fell in love with druid healing. Since I didn't have much of a life outside of the game at the time, and my brothers were often busy wasting their time with things like dating and having jobs, I was solo most of the time, so I pugged a lot of dungeons as a healer. Now, when I think back to those teen years, I'm impressed with how much I did not care about other players or making mistakes. I think that was partly because I'd grown up with two brothers who were always smarter, faster, and stronger than me. I learned how to take care of myself in the only way I could. By manipulation. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, just a trigger warning, this may get really dark. I obviously do not know what's in the stories before they arrive here. Our wonderful Lady Bex, Methuselah in the chat, vets these stories before they arrive. So... onwards we plow. Onwards we plow. I remember that, like, a DPS would complain about not getting healed enough. I would point out, factually, that they had taken aggro from the tank and that they were bad. Then I would sit back and watch the DPS and tank argue over who screwed up. It helped that I turned my encyclopedia memorizing habits onto learning WoW, so I was actually pretty good, and rarely was I actually genuinely at fault. The trick was to point out the real problem while being a little bit ambiguous about who caused it. And then the people who were ultra defensive would jump into insulting each other. If people didn't react defensively, it was worth my time to explain the problem fully. This is puppeteering is what this is. This is social puppeteering that's happening right now. Now, Mike, it was a long time ago. My memory's a little fuzzy of the when and why. But there was some point when our server suddenly and very, very randomly became the go-to Latin American server. Now, I knew Spanish, so I learned to switch languages if someone became verbally abusive or annoying. They either assumed that I couldn't speak English and gave up, or any Spanish-speaking players would take my side and start shit with the American players. There was also a time when a bunch of players from Brazil came to our servers, and I learned enough Portuguese to keep this tactic going of pretending or manipulating each side to my favour. In retrospect, my brothers were probably right when they called me a little brat. With such a start, how did I ever become so anxious? I was just going to say, what happened? What happened that made you so afraid of joining dungeons if you grew up this way? What happened? It's an American server, so whichever American server became overpopulated with Latin American players. Well, Mike, to answer the question as to what happened, we need to go forward a few years. Okay. I started to drift away from the game. It was time for me to go to college. School started going badly, and I was too busy trying not to fail to keep playing MMOs. It would be years before I would finally be diagnosed with dyslexia and autism, which some people claimed didn't exist when I was a kid. Yeah. Are those the same people who claimed that there was no gay kids when they were kids? Yeah. And it was like a modern day invention. Those people. None of this LGBTQ shit when I was a kid. Just suddenly popped up. It sprung up out of nowhere. Weird, right? Weird. And I had been struggling for years with these conditions without knowing why. Who knew the girl memorizing buzzard facts was in fact partly autistic? Until my diagnosis, I had blamed my academic failure on the fact that I was lazy or stupid, which led to me feeling very depressed. I tried all types of typical depression advice to spend time around real people, do fun things even when you don't want to, but that just led to a sensory overload from my undiagnosed autism. No matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't succeed. Oh, that's so sad. During that academic struggle, I had to take a break from gaming. My brothers had both left WoW for FF14 by this time, so it didn't feel like a huge loss. Okay. My life started to stabilize. That's right, I need to check this. We're good. My life started to stabilize, though. I started to remember how much I enjoyed my time playing World of Warcraft. By this time, both my brothers were firmly entrenched in FF14. They'd been playing since 2.0 and had fallen in love with the expansion they called Heavensward. Yeah. Like many FF14 fans, they could not shut up about how much they loved the story and how much better it was than WoW. I could see their messages in our group chat, and I honestly started to feel left out. So, I'm looking for something to do. I like MMOs. It's time to move to FF14. My middle brother only wanted to play healer in 14, so for the first time, I was allowed to play with my brothers and play a different role. I bounced between DPS and tank depending on how much I liked the most recent and always inevitable summoner rework. I made lots of close friends in FF, so even when I couldn't play with my brothers, I felt a connection to the game. I joined an FC, and that FC was made up mostly of people who worked in high-stress, emergency-based professions like emergency rooms, doctors, paramedics, crisis hotline workers. How the hell did you find that? What a bizarre FC of stressed out people all talking about blood and guts all day. What the hell? Yeah, I had 4 patients die today. Yeah, 3 here. They had the type of personalities that wanted to be perfect but valued staying calm, and they used humor a lot to break tension. They also had a mellow attitude about things because really, no one's life was on the line if you messed up in game. That makes sense, actually. It's a stress reliever. The predictable dance of FF14 combat also felt soothing and relaxing in a way. It turned out it worked perfectly for me. I'd only done normal group content in World of Warcraft because my brothers had been pretty casual. In FF, I progressed to extremes and then Savage. I never felt anxious. Learning was fun. The people I played with were funny, but they took improvement seriously. Okay. Even though I had quit playing WoW, obviously people talked about it. The game was too popular to ignore. Sometimes I'd get the itch to play. Unfortunately, no one in my FC or my brothers ever wanted to play WoW again, so it didn't seem worth it. I tried a few times, but every time I tried, I ran into a lot of racist and sexist players, so I'd feel exhausted and immediately go back to 14. Jesus Christ. Is this a common thing in the US? You just log in and suddenly it's like racism and sexism and you're like, what the hell? What's going on here? I mean, I don't bump into that in WoW. I don't. It is, I mean, I've played a very, very long time. I don't run to that. Most of my female friends don't use public voice chat for a reason. Jesus Christ. I've seen it in the EU. I've seen it in very high-end raiders. Certainly a few years ago. There was a lot of like very high on the spectrum, just say the most random nonsense in the universe. It was like, dude, no. Like, whatever. That's where I've seen it. I certainly haven't like pugged and bumped into that. Do you know what I mean? Like restarting and pugging. This was particularly bad for me in the US as it was the rise of Trump's popularity. And you could tell on certain servers. Oh, interesting. So that would have been... When was that? 2012? I guess? Oh, 2015? 2016. 2016. Okay, so we've got a time period. When COVID started, Jesus Christ, you guys remember COVID? Motherfucker. We've been through some shit, haven't we? We've been through some shit. During the start of COVID, the urge to play World of Warcraft returned, though. FF14, like many games, had a content drought during a part of COVID. I took advantage of that to go back to WoW. My brothers asked me if it was a sign of a mental breakdown. I was working in a hospital during COVID, so it was only partly a joke on their part. Oh, Jesus Christ. I leveled a new character, though, through the Legion content, and I had a great time. I had so much story and so many things to catch up on. I leveled so many characters, and I had a great time. It turned out the familiar feel, the warm, cozy blanket of WoW, sorry, this Flanet is going past the office, was exactly what I needed during the uncertainty of COVID, especially working in a hospital. There it is. I hesitated to queue for group content. Since I had left World of Warcraft and been in FF, I had heard people constantly complain about how toxic World of Warcraft had become. Trade and zone chats were way worse than I remembered from my early days in the game. And I was fresh. I was rusty. I hadn't played in a group setting in a while. Leveling didn't teach you shit. What if I fucked up? What if I got vote kicked? So nothing actually happened to you. This was an anxiety upon returning. Any of you guys experienced that? It's like there was no event that put you off group play. It was just that you came back and you weren't sure if you could play multiple. Like, it's actually put you off playing in, like, queuing for a group? Really? Wonder if there's something I could do about that. Probably not, right? Does the advice change? Not really. Again, getting vote kicked is not the worst thing in the world. Like, nothing really happens. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's fine. Nothing happens. You're not getting blacklisted or anything. Yeah, it's very hard to help. Yeah, it is. I don't think there's much I can do, like, even to some people can do about that. Other than, like, reaffirm that it's okay. Nothing really happens. It's, you can just go again. It's totally fine. Now, Mike, as I write that now in this letter to you, I can't say why the thought scared me so much. Maybe it was because of the constant stress from working with COVID patients in a hospital that didn't care about employees' safety. Maybe it was the WoW boogeyman built up in the general internet discourse. Maybe it was just bad vibes on my... Chris, are we under attack? Maybe it was just bad vibes on my current server. Who knows? And then one day I logged in, realized I didn't like the zone I was leveling my ult in, and decided to queue for a dungeon instead. I was going to play a DPS. People expected DPS to be clueless dipshits. So if I made a mistake, how bad could it go? Okay, if you are... Look, there is no way you can have a horrific experience in a leveling dungeon as a DPS. Like, how can this go wrong? Just attack red bar. Nothing can kill you in a normal leveling dungeon. Alright, here we go. So, I clicked the button and queued up for a dungeon. And then, I waited 40 minutes. Okay, that bit is very true and real. The wait, though, didn't help. I am bad at splitting my attention when stressed, so I couldn't do anything while I just stared at the dungeon timer. I just watched that little eyeball rotate around and around and around and around and around and around for 40 minutes. And as the minutes ticked by, the general anticipation twisted my stomach into a tight ball. Oh. But I couldn't cancel my queue. I was already so invested. I'd already waited so long. Could I really just let that time be a waste? As the stress mounted and I felt a little sick, the dungeon popped. It was a dungeon that I'd never seen before. I knew nothing about it. I didn't know. I considered Googling a guide, but the loading screen was happening. The next hour of my life is a weird mix of blurry stress and snapshot moments engraved into my brain. And yes, Mike, the next hour. It might have actually been longer. Okay, I haven't scrolled down. What dungeon is she in? What could possibly go this wrong in a normal mode dungeon? In a leveling dungeon. So we're not even doing a capped one. We know Legion content's available. BRD? Is BRD... A lot of people saying BRD. Is that notorious in the leveling circles? I haven't leveled a character in ages, so I don't know. Gotta be a BFA dungeon. Do you get Cathedral as a leveling dungeon? Maybe. Aurum Vale? No, not Aurum Vale, Ray. Not Aurum Vale. It's just a long dungeon. What, even in leveling? They didn't, like, split it up a bit? Waycrest? You're not spending an hour in normal Waycrest. Unless you can't do the witches, in which case, oof. Maybe. Maybe. Alright, let's go. When we loaded into the dungeon, no one said a word. Silence. Utter silence. It seemed like we stood there and then nothing happened for a really long time. My finger hovered over the enter key. I thought about asking in chat, saying something, but I didn't want to be the first one to say something, and I didn't want to seem like the clueless one, so I said nothing. Man, I feel bad. I have never thought this long and hard about anything in a dungeon in my life. Like, since I was a kid, I have never thought this long and this hard about any aspects of a dungeon in my entire life. Yeah, I rock in, I'm like, yo, let's go. Let's do it. Let's go. As I was about to hit that enter key, the tank moved forward. Before I caught up, the tank was already dead. Oh, no. How the fuck can a tank of modern era die to the first trash pack of a normal leveling dungeon? Like, tanks can solo at those levels. Like, what the fuck? Okay. A message, the first message, appeared in party chat. The healer said sorry. They had been trying to type a message during the pull. They realized they had not brought any drinks for mana. I was playing an Ellie Shaman at the time. Before I could click the trade to give them some drinks, a vote kick appeared. I clicked no. The healer then vanished. I had been outvoted. We waited for a replacement while the tank and a Fury Warrior shit-talked the healer for not being prepared for the dungeon. Another healer joined our group. The tank said, "Yo," in chat, and then charged off. We all scrambled after him. We survived the first pull, and I started to relax a little bit. It had just been a random moment, a fluke, a weird occurrence of this dungeon. We were going to be fine. We reached the second trash bag. You've not told us what dungeon is, and it's fucking killing me. I need to picture this in my mind. I need to know where we are. We reached the second group. Oh! Wait. Before we go any further, didn't World of Warcraft have a problem for several years that leveling dungeons were not scaled properly? This was something we discussed on Drama Time like 6 months ago. There was something really weird, right? That leveling dungeon, the BFA ones were fucked. Okay, so we might be in BFA. Yeah. Okay, so that might explain what's happening here. We reached the second group. A clue, my friends, a clue. We've got a mystery on our hands. Out of nowhere, my character flew up in the air. My thoughts spun with the twirling of my character. Okay, so which dungeon's second trash pack has knock-ups? Ooh. Chalder Gore? No. Starts outside, right? Shrine? Could be Shrine. Could be Shrine. My character flew up in the air. My thoughts spun. We all wiped on the second pull. The tank spammed the chat with 4 lines of question mark. In party chat. I blinked. My anxious brain was trying to rewind what had just happened. There was something on the ground. A blue swirly, maybe. I know I had messed up somehow, but it was just dungeon trash. Was it really going to kill me in one go? Another vote kick popped up. It was once again for the healer. I once again said no. Our second healer vanished in front of my eyes. It started to occur to me as maybe the problem was not the healers if we had gone through 2 so quickly. After all, clearly I was the problem. Oh, no, man. How could you have caused the entire group to die? How did you land on that? How could you, as an elemental shaman, have caused the group to die? I mean, assuming you didn't chain lightning into 3 packs that were off screen somewhere. Clearly, I thought the problem was me. And then I thought, at which point would the rest of the group realize that I was causing them to wipe? So we waited again. Before the healer joined, the tank suddenly typed, "I got this," and took off. It takes a pretty advanced player to make that call, and considering you've wiped to seemingly 2 trash packs while a healer has been present, I don't think you do in fact got this. We followed along, of course. By the time we caught up, it was clear he did not in fact have this. Yes, I suspect he did not have this. He was close to death before I'd even entered combat. I spammed my limited heals on reflex. I didn't have a lot of add-ons installed, partly because I never thought I was going to do group content, but I had set up some mouse over macros out of habit. Psh, high five. Always set up your character first. It's important, right? Get your mouse over sorted. I frantically spammed what heals I had to keep the tank and other DPS up as they slowly and painfully killed the mobs. After it was done, and I was sat drinking, one word appeared in the chat. Nice. Nice. From the tank. Good job, all. High fives all around. Pats on the backs. Way, we got this. To my absolute delight, a third healer appeared in our dungeon group. With healer number 3 in tow, we finally made it to the first boss. Okay. Are we getting confirmation of which dungeon this is? Mike, I couldn't tell you or the chat anything about this boss fight except there were lots of swirly things on the ground. It's Shrine. Yep. And the Fury Warrior died during it. I remember that Fury Warrior specifically because dying became sort of a trademark. Okay. And can I point out here? Let me just point something out. You had all this anxiety about yourself and you were causing the problems. Yet you're noticing, hopefully, there's another person who is considerably doing way worse than you. Right? Like, hopefully this is giving you some sort of relaxation. Okay, but it's probably not me because this guy's fucking dying all the time to everything, right? Look around you a bit. Take a bit of perspective. Wait a minute. These guys are getting hammered. The tank typed, res him, and started running again before the res. That's good tanking. It's a sign of a really good tank that you've noticed that your DPS is dead, and you're telling the healer to stop being able to heal you so they can res while doing that. We wiped again on the second boss, to which the Fury Warrior typed their first message of the dungeon. Not working. Not working. The tank then typed BS. And then the healer wrote ... question mark. Not working. I wonder if they're talking about interrupting. Second boss of Shrine is the two dudes, right? That need to be separated. Can they not be interrupted if they're next to each other? Something like that. I think some mechanic like that, right? The tank helpfully took the time to then begin to type an essay about why the healer was shit. Well, problem number one is the healer again. This tank's having a terrible streak of luck with healers. Terrible streak of luck. Like one of the worst I've ever seen in my life. You know what they say about if it always smells like shit no matter where you go. At the time, I was confused what the tank's vitriol had to do with anything. Now, I wonder if they had triggered the cooldown on vote kicks. Now, my anxiety must have spiked more because my dog trotted over to give me his emotional support tennis ball. Oh, dear. Oh, come on. You're clearly seeing this on... Oh, man. I wish I was there. Shout-outs to puppers, though. Check what it is. Please. Yeah, is it say router on it?
It's got Virgin Media, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have internet box. Now I'm going to go and plug it in at home after this and watch it not work. We have internet box. Okay. By this point, I was even more convinced that chaos and healer kicks were because of me. Wait, are you the source of chaos? Do I need to invoke the rights of Angelos and Captain Titus? I didn't know this dungeon. I didn't know what was going on. If I knew this dungeon, I could help. Surely we would have all lived. I would be able to contribute more. I remembered very little about killing the second boss or making it to the final boss. The dungeon had a water theme and some steps, and at one point I was very afraid of falling off. I also remember lots of waterfalls. I didn't fall off, but the Fury Warrior did multiple times, and still you were anxious about it, eh? I assume you're just laser focused on your own position. Yeah, Shrine confirmed. No one said anything. DPS really could just get away with anything, I thought. As we approached the final boss arena, I physically felt like I had run a marathon. I was mentally taking back any negative thing I'd ever said about Final Fantasy XIV dungeons being too streamlined or predictable. This was taking my entire life to finish this one dungeon. Oh, I've been here for an hour. I've got more repair costs than I can afford. It's taken 7 people to get through this 5-man dungeon. No, it's taken 8 people. I couldn't understand how World of Warcraft players had the patience to do dungeons like we don't. We would have left after the first trash pack. Bye. All I remember about the last boss was frantically running around. Something water themed or squid themed. I think we started... Wait, no. She's not in Shrine. Is it the other one from Kata? I think we started drowning. It's the Kata dungeon. The last boss in Shrine is downstairs. You don't get drowned there. Is it called Shrine? I'm thinking of the Hentai Mountain one. I'm thinking about Throne of Tides. Yeah, I'm thinking about Throne of Tides. You do? Do you? Don't you have to interrupt the guys? Oh, you get a drowning debuff. Yeah, you don't physically have water come in. You get a drowning debuff. Is that correct? Yeah, you swim to the last boss, but then you fight on the platform because it's where Unat was. It's a drown debuff. Yeah, true. But I'm thinking of Throne because you fight the giant squid at the end and there's all water pouring in, right? I think we started drowning at some point. Or maybe I just felt like I was suffocating from my anxiety. I can't remember. Our healer died partway through the fight. I thought about restarting this nauseating fight. And then... I thought about restarting this nauseating fight. And then I thought, absolutely not. I switched to keeping the tank and the remaining DPS alive. I wasn't expected to rest though, obviously. I felt limited with what options I had, and by the end I was actually physically shaking IRL as if we had beaten some major raid boss. Jesus Christ. My dog brought me his favourite teddy bear. I remember that so clearly because he never shared this teddy bear with anyone. Oh my god. Just the thought of this is giving me anxiety. Jesus Christ. As I stared at that golden shine on the boss's corpse, holding my dog's ratty, dirty teddy bear, I felt paralyzed. Wait, are you still going to blame all this on me? No. Fuck off a minute, man. I felt sorry for you a minute ago, but I've just remembered now the name of this story, and you're going to blame all this on me? Like, no. You can fuck right off with that. That's not fair. I did not give you paralysis, okay? I did not give you paralysis by suggesting you go and do a dungeon, where I do want to point out my advice is correct. You were fine. Nothing actually bad happened, all right? Okay? I've been accused of getting people arrested, and I'm not now being accused of adding paralysis to that list. It felt like the most... I felt paralyzed. I, as a DPS, had spent the entire fight healing. It felt like I had committed a shameful choice. You saved the group. What do you mean? You were the hero. They would have wiped if you didn't do that. You saved the group. I was the lowest on the damage meter. I felt I was the worst DPS to ever queue for a dungeon in the entire lifespan of WoW. Are you trying to pass? The healer disappeared from the dungeon immediately. The tank typed another message. Shaman, you should play healer. It made me cringe. That was an insult, right? No! No! You thought he's saying your DPS is so bad you should play a healer. That's the process that went through your head. That your damage is so bad you should play a healer. When he's actually saying... You're really good. You should play a healer. You kept them alive. The healers didn't. The Fury Warrior said GG. Confused, I typed question mark. You don't know GG? You don't know GG? Confused, I typed question mark. Yeah, I did. Oh, God, did she hear it as get good? Oh, please don't tell me you didn't hear it as get good. Oh, no. Oh. Oh. Get good, noob. Oh, my God. But then... Oh, whoa. We're coming back. Pull it back. Then the tank typed, you're better than actual healers. It gave me pause. Were they serious? Should I be a healer? On purpose? I hate that Bex, this is Bex, not you, because you would have sent this to us on email, drama@preachgaming.com. Bex spaced this, so I couldn't read this because it goes over the page. You did this on purpose. You spaced this out, so I didn't see this. I had to scroll down to a separate page in order to see it. I know you did it on purpose. They had vote kicked every healer for every single problem, including the same warrior falling off a cliff, clearly marked cliffs. Even I didn't fall off the cliffs. In that moment, it dawned on me. I realized, maybe I did make mistakes, but these guys were such assholes, they didn't even realize they could be part of the problem. Especially the I apparently don't understand cliffs or gravity Fury Warrior. And then the window popped up to ready check for another dungeon with them. Please don't. The only words I could think of might have gotten me banned even from WoW. So, I fell back on typing ... I declined the ready check. I only knew the next course of action was to uninstall WoW and play FF14. I left the dungeon, uninstalled, and went back to my FC. This is not a part of the story, but I have a serious question for Mike. If he feels like answering, sure. I think I owe it to you after giving you paralysis. As I write this, I am wondering for the first time. Was off-spec Shaman healing decent, or were those other players just really bad, so it seemed okay in comparison? Unfortunately, I can't remember if this was the very end of BFA or the start of Shadowlands, if it makes a difference. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but from what we're gathering from this, your tank was overzealous, right? An overzealous tank. If listen to me on this one. Go back and watch any of my tank guides over the years. Every single gameplay video starts the same when I'm playing tank. Do a really small first pull to see how good your healer is. Then you decide the pace of a dungeon in a pug. It's rule number 1 when you're playing a tank is you make sure your healer is alive and awake, moving around, right? Do a gentle, very first pull to see if the healer is awake. Like, if your healer throws a hot on you and starts DPSing, pull the universe. If your healer waits till you're nearly dead, then starts casting their longest, most ridiculous heal, you're going to have a slow run, right? And they're just AFK up until that point, and then they just go, healing touch. Wait. Healing touch. Right? If that happens, then you're in for a fucking slow-ass run. So, honestly, it doesn't matter about the power or anything like that. The fact that you were able to heal, you can... Shamans can... Well, a lot of classes can do a great amount of healing off healing, especially when you're just spamming heals. Your healers might have been bad. I don't know, but... Bad healer mixed with bad tank and bad DPS with your Fury Warrior creates a whole cloud of bad, right? It all works together. Mike, I didn't touch World of Warcraft again for literal years. I thought back to that vote kit. I just want to say, though, as a more important question, you were the hero of that dungeon. I don't know if you've realized that even now. If this story is accurate, you were the hero of that dungeon. And what made you a hero was just playing your fucking class in a reasonable way. Okay? That's all you did was play your class in a reasonable way. Such as, I have healing buttons, I can cast them when your healer is dead. Right? Shit like that. You were the hero of that dungeon. Those guys just kept plowing on like a fucking... like a hammer at a nail to try and get through it. Okay. Like so many people, though, I came back to Season of Discovery. I got bored pretty fast, so I decided to give Dragonflight a go. I switched to the Hordes and found a server that was actually extremely friendly and positive. I fell in love with the game again. Classes were fun, the story was fine. Coming from FF14, the story is fine. It's fine. Dragonflight was also full of open world things to do. I could join groups without ever entering a toxic dungeon. Have you still never done a dungeon? No way. And then I listened to Drama Time. Oh, redemption! This happened before Drama Time! Woo! Yes! I am saved! I am redeemed! Vindicated! I am redeemed! And then I listened to the drama time about the anxious dungeon player. Preach gave his speech about not giving up and missing out on the fun, and I thought, how bad can it be? I queued for a dungeon as DPS. The queue popped almost instantly, which was already different. No time to sit and get anxious. No one said anything. No one died. It felt like it was over in minutes. Okay, dirty joke. That was easy, I thought. I gained a lot of XP in that one dungeon. I queued again, and I've been running group content ever since. Mostly as a healer. It's reminding me how much I enjoy WoW's combat and healing. It keeps bringing us back. I like using kicks and dispels and thinking proactively. I enjoy problem solving in the moment when something goes wrong. Of course, I've run into a few toxic people, but it doesn't affect me. Good! There are always dickheads out there, but who fucking cares? You'll never see them again. I remember just the other day I was running a normal dungeon to relearn some Resto Druid. I'd been playing Mistweaver. Baller. Good choice. Mid-dungeon, the tank stopped moving. And the tank typed in party chat, Hunter, cut it out, stop pulling. The hunter just said, okay, and walked back to stand next to the tank. But the tank didn't move. The warlock types, please pull. Please. I noticed that they'd said please, which I thought was really nice for a WoW player. Okay, not all people playing WoW are literal monkeys mashing their... like with no manners. They don't just eat with their hands, right? There's lots of them that can use knives and forks and things like that, and it's pretty good. They're not like just pot noodle drinkers because it's easier.
Well, they did make Demon Hunters for it.
I suppose. The tank then typed, I don't need this shit, and left. Please stop pulling. Okay. So pull then, please. I don't need this shit. I don't need this stress in my life. I remember staring at the screen and all I could think of was, huh? But the hunter said okay. While we waited for a new tank, I went into bear farm and hit the old slash dance spin. The animation amuses me as much as it did when I was a teenager. Same, I still do it. But then I realized, oh, I'm a bear. And I took over tanking the dungeon until we got a replacement. Yes. Yes. It was the first time I'd ever tanked anything. I mean, thankfully it's a Guardian Druid, so you've only got 2 buttons. I'm sure I made mistakes, but no one said anything, and the dungeon was proceeding. That same night, I randomly queued into the Azure Vaults. At one point, the tank did an insane skip and told us all to jump after him. I know the one. The 3 DPS all died, then got lost trying to get back to us, then accidentally pulled some of the skipped mobs and died again. Tank timed noobs. And I left. Yeah. Yeah. I started laughing. Yeah, they were noobs. Correctly identified, but maybe talk people through skips if people don't know what it is. Nah, you should just watch every stream. If you don't know every skip in every dungeon, including the latest ones, you're just bad. Especially in a normal dungeon. My very next experience was with a group of all vet players trying to speedrun the dungeon. One character died in a way I'd never seen before after being knocked off the map by a pushback. Everyone made jokes and was so distracted that we all wiped laughing. Then it became a chat about the most dumb ways we've all died in WoW. All in all, it was a really great night. I'm grateful, Preach, that you gave this pep talk. I'm back playing WoW and enjoying the group content with Pugs and my new guildmates. I'll admit, I only do M+ with guildies, but I enjoy doing more casual dungeons and raids with randos. The chaotic grab bag of Pug personalities is so amusing to me now. Good! Plus, honestly, I could be a dancing bear. FF14 doesn't offer me this ability. And how does anyone stay upset for long looking at a dancing bear animation? Vindicated, safe, happy. I did not cause paralysis. That will not be a thing or a meme going forward. And congratulations. And it's really unfortunate that you got so laser focused on yourself there. That's a shame. But that does bring us to the end of drama for today. I am going to go home and plug in my useless internet box that won't be turned on till the weekend. Magnifique! We should have a stream over the weekend. Emma says it's fine for Sunday. I'm busy all tomorrow, but I will confirm over Twitter. If we are streaming over the weekend, though, it will be the Destiny 2 story, because we played a little bit of it yesterday. It was awesome. It was really fun. It started well, so I want to see how that story plays out. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like Drama Time, we'll be back next Friday at 4. But other than that, we'll have Warhammer 40k Mechanicus continuing on Monday. All right. Be good, everybody. I'll see you again. Bye.